Yeah, my parents, they're both refugees. They both survived the Khmer Rouge genocide. And so I know that my mom, to come to the United States, she had to cross through minefields to get to Thailand. And so I know she told stories to me when I was younger. She had to run through minefields and she would see people that she would be running with who was also seeking asylum in Thailand just die because they would step on minefields.
I was originally born in New York. My mom was just here temporarily on a visiting visa, so we ended up going back to Liberia, where my family is from. I was born during the Liberian Civil War, so that was a very rough time for my family in Liberia. In 1992, actually, they had planes just there. My mom, with me and my little sister in her arms, ran onto a plane not knowing where it was going. Luckily, we ended up in the US and became US citizens. From there, we ended up in Minnesota, which Minnesota has the biggest population of Liberian community in the US.
Well, I basically decided to go public and be totally out public and, about being transgender, and, took every opportunity that I've had available to use as a teaching moment to explain to people, the reality and the truth about what transgender is. And not all the myths and misinformation and disinformation that the opponents who are against us try to go and push out there about us, which mostly is completely false.
I never thought that I was straight. I didn't even know what straight was, or gay, or anything else. But when I learned what straight was, I was like, oh, that's not me. And then when I learned that all the alternatives were not very accepted, I was like, that's unfortunate, because that's who I am.
I came back to Minnesota and tried to repair my relationship with my mother. There was a point in time we had a conversation and she asked me, where did she go wrong to be who I was today? And that question killed me, because the reason I am such a strong and fierce individual is because of watching my mother come to the US with $15 in her pocket, 2 bags, and not knowing the language. From us living in shelters to eventually having a 5-bedroom house by the time I was in high school. She's a strong woman, 3 degrees, 2 PhDs. I can't stop my education because of her, and I'm now in my 2nd degree. I just wanted to let her know that despite of how she felt she went wrong, her strength is what made me who I am.
Alateen was a really new experience for me because I had to go outside of my community to join an Alateen group. And it brought together people of all sorts of different backgrounds. We were all unfortunately united because of alcohol or addiction of some sort. That was actually really where I encountered the first really out queer people in my life, and I was a little scared at first, but I realized, especially through all those sessions where you just kind of bare each other's hearts, that they were a lot like me. And I was a lot like them, and they really encouraged me to, especially from the queer aspect, sort of come into my own and represent myself really as myself rather than what I was supposed to be.
When we discuss particularly queerness or stuff like that, it results in the ostracization of queer Asian Americans, and they're usually just forgotten. And so I think we need to really highlight these issues. I think it's a unique intersection for me because when I do my advocacy work at SOY, one of the examples this year was I walked out of the SOY office building, and then I was suddenly verbally attacked as soon as I got out of the building. They were yelling slurs at me because I was Asian, and I just thought, I was like, it's such a weird mix that I'm queer, I'm Asian, I'm a first-generation immigrant, and I'm all these things, but people interpolate me in a different way depending on what I wear, what I'm doing, what location I'm at, because that day I happened just to be presenting more masculine. They wouldn't just talk about that, but they talk about my being Asian. And so it's just it's really strange how people just try to nitpick different facets of yourself to really take you down.
Sure. I mean, I think that those priorities are absolutely, they're in line with my personal politics, right, and my professional work too, as a scholar of QT POC issues.
That was one of the things that some of this legislation that they tried to push through the state legislature would have done. They had one bill that would have basically forced all transgender people to go and revert back to what their original birth certificate said for their name and gender, which would be pretty devastating to, you know, people who are very far along in the transition or have actually completed their transition.
When I was first learning about privilege, I was kind of confused because it just sounds so unfortunate. Because I have white privilege and I have cis privilege and I have class privilege and I have things like that. And it was kind of hard to wrestle with that, that sometimes I'm in a place and it's not really because of like my doing, you know, it's just because the system was built that way that I have all of those opportunities that others don't have.
The way I would think our politics is very like homonormative or like white queer focused. And I really never got the skill set to be more intersectional or discuss how queer people of color like myself face issues of heteronormativity, because obviously I don't like just want to get married and stuff like that. I want to have the ability to survive in the status quo. And so when I was reading that, it's like queer people of color need to be the forefront of these movements. They have to have the say of what's going on. They don't need to just be tokens within the movement and just be like, oh my gosh, we have queer people of color, but they need to be leading our movements because they face structural oppression at the unique intersections that like are key to help dismantle these systems of oppression.
And I have a heck of a lot of passion and a very good reason to be an activist out there working for transgender equality and to help educate the public about the realities of transgender people.
Yeah, I'm studying sociology. I'm majoring in sociology at the University of Minnesota, and I'm minoring in Asian American Studies, comparative in race and ethnicity in the United States, political science, and Asian Americans literature and culture. And so I hope all these things will help me gain better advocacy skills within the Asian American community, and these skills can help me within the LGBTQ community, because like my focus isn't solely on race, obviously, but like I want to use these skills to help understand better these communities so they can have better representations within the political sphere to like actually have their issues discussed and have policies to actually help them. And, like, I'm now interning at the Library of Congress over the summer, and I have the ability to change and transform more people's minds, and I'm just really thankful for PFund and all of that.
But when I get to a position of power, to be able to help those who have helped me along the way, to be able to say that when I was down and when I was not able to do everything that I wanted to do, there was people like PFund who were able to, you know, give a financial donation that, you know, is going to help me put on a show where it'll be a showcase of all, you know, artists of color and queer people of color, and showcase that music into the Minneapolis community to make sure that it grows and continues to grow. And I want to leave a lasting legacy that says, I didn't only just come here for music, I came here for the people that represent me and that I represent in music.
It's like a call, you know, it's like this like dog language that I can like hear, you know, like from my house. I'm like, oh, PFund's calling, I have to go, right? You know, so it's like.
I think PFund is great. I think they're giving me the opportunity, like, winning the PFund scholarship has really given me the opportunity to continue my advocacy work, because one of the key reasons I applied for the scholarship was because I don't have the financial resources myself as a second-generation Asian American immigrant that's queer to pay for school. School is expensive, and so I would have to make a choice between taking a job, working, or helping out the community. And PFund has given me the opportunity to continue what I'm passionate about by giving me the financial resources to continue helping out the community where I can be financially stable and still go to school, and I'm really thankful for that.